listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. I am delighted that you are here with us today. This is going to be a wonderful podcast because you're going to love my guest. She's bringing it to us from Africa. Now, no, she's in Australia now. So anyway, she's worldly for sure. But she has a very strong message to share with you today, as well as a new book that she has written. And so I know that you're going to enjoy this, my guest. My guest is Kelly Markey, and it's a delight to read her story. I have not read her book yet, which is new. When did that come out, Kelly? Your book?
2021.
2021. Okay. So it's been for a while, but it's really received good reviews, and I know you're proud of it for sure.
Absolutely.
So, yes, we're always proud when we birth those babies. So anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Kelly. She's a sassy South African native, and she has transitioned to a proud citizen of New Zealand. So she's wandered a little bit from Africa, but she is now happily domiciled in Australia. Markey's life and knowledge has touched and conveyed remediable to souls globally. Kelly is passionate about making a difference in the lives of others and sees herself as a channel, a conduit for insights, lessons, gleaned, and inspiration. Now, Kelly has over 30 years of professional experience in health IT, Health International. Is that correct? It's actually called Health
IT, as in information technology.
Oh, okay. Okay, thanks. Including working internationally in 5 different countries for major world gorillas. She has traveled to over 200 cities and has ample in experience. She writes from her well-weighted lived experiences. Now, she has recently partnered with Zululand Lifeline in South Africa as a long-term partner to enhance humanitarian cries in Africa as an international best-selling author. Her new book, Don't Just Fly, Soar, is a well-received book, and it's been out just shortly, as she said. It is the inspiration of tools you need to rise above adversity and create a life by design. So Kelly is a coach. She runs workshops, and she is a speaker, of course, and an author, of course. So welcome, Kelly. We're delighted that you're here with us.
Thank you. Wow, what an intro.
Well, it's always, you're my first to interview from another continent. So I'm delighted to have you on the show. That means I'm expanding, correct?
Good. And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of your cohort, and to your listeners, I look forward to adding some value. Thank you for having me, Joyce.
Yes, we're delighted that you're here. But tell me how, I like to share with my listeners that we all have those times in our lives that we go through that are really trials, really they're decisions, they're turns in our roads that send us another direction. And so can you think, or are you willing to share what would have been a moment of major transition in your life? Just a story about that.
Absolutely. I think that's my whole life has been amazing.
Yeah.
Look, I absolutely identify with what you're saying. I think being on the fork of the road, as you would say, and the path you chose would lead you, down a certain way. For me, I feel when I reached the fork in the road, either one, I could have gone, left or right. It's what unraveled itself, or everyone has curveballs choice. It doesn't go left or right. You're going to get those curveballs. What I gleaned from my journey is you have to expect it. You can't go merrily on your way and think that life is going to be dandy. That's just not the script. Yeah, some people more unfair shakes than others, but you have to be ready. And I guess I left South Africa when I was, quite young and naive. And I was, stepped onto the international platform thinking, I'm just going to go overseas, get a job, get the nice house, white picket fence, and the whole, nice, pretty little bow, all, but it doesn't happen that way.
No.
It doesn't happen that way. And even if you had a script, it wouldn't go according to the script. So that's what I've learned from my journey. You never know what's going to come up, and you have to be ready for that change. You have to plan to deal with risks and changes. That's the best thing. And now I guess my personality is ready for it. I know if I start this project or if I do this, something's going to come hurling my way, and I'm ready for it. I'm expecting it, and I have the adrenaline, I have the power, and I know I'm not just, wanting that smooth sailing. Not that I'm, a junkie for things to go down south. It's just the way life is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how young were you when you moved to the other country?
22.
That's still pretty young. Not much of the world have we learned by that time.
Exactly. And away from my nucleus, away from, the way of life that I knew, because I was born and raised in South Africa, where apartheid reigned, and all I was conditioned to is living in restraint, under the apartheid regime. So even just to penetrate the workforce was like, wow, a whole new world. It was so different. It was so cosmopolitan. It was a melting pot. And I wasn't really exposed to that. So that was an eye-opener. Even though daunting, I had to find my way and eventually find my flavor and my voice.
Mm-hmm. Now, at 22, do you know of any of your peers that did something so daring? Because that's pretty daring at 22 to go to another country by yourself.
Absolutely not, especially from Africa. And also I worked for the federal government in South Africa, and it was a job that everyone was like, wow, you work for the government, you've got to be here for the rest of your life. It was unheard of to leave a government job. And people were coming up to me like, when they knew I was actually immigrating, like, wow, you're leaving your government job. Why would you do that? They were like, you're crazy. And I look now and, I've lived and worked in so many different countries. I've met people from around the world. I've traveled to over 200 cities. I've gleaned so much. I can never imagine what life would be like had I just held on to that government road and stayed there.
Right. So where did you go? What was the first country that you went to after Africa? Was it New Zealand?
Yes. So I lived in New Zealand, but I had a stopover in Malaysia. I toured Malaysia and then landed in New Zealand.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think that's pretty nervy of you at 22 to do that. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I could even move to another state that early, much less another country. That takes a lot of.
You don't know what you don't know, right? And
Right.
at that time, I have to say that at that time, so South Africa, I guess, is never at its best state. The level of unrest and violence was right in my face. I was held at gunpoint at work. And I love South Africa. It's full of, natural resources. It's an amazing country, like we shared where you visited. The natural resources are, second to none. And my family and friends are there. So I will always have a strong tie.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt a tug in my heart, especially after I felt I was putting so much and not really getting anything out. And I was always getting the unfair shake, in terms of apartheid, affirmative action, and then being held at gunpoint. And before I was held at gunpoint, a few colleagues months before that were actually killed. It reassured me that there was no real future. I needed to look elsewhere if I wanted to carve a safer life for myself. That's what gave me strength, I guess, to explore and get out on an adventure. And it wasn't easy because, moving to an international country had its own setbacks and challenge. And I had to, get up each morning and find my grit. Sometimes I had to dig deep.
Right. Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I can't because I've never done that, but it takes a lot of courage to do that. And so, women are just amazing that sometimes when it's just put, it's this or this, we do find our courage. We do. And I think women are wonderful at their resilience that they can bring forth in their lives. Now, when did you decide that you wanted to move from, I don't know what your work was when you went to New Zealand, but I would think, did you just tend to go into the same type of work, the office work that you had done when you were in Africa?
So I kind of worked in health in South Africa, and I started in New Zealand, just doing what I could initially, because when I got there, it took a really long time for us to get through immigration and the paperwork. So, finding employment through the proper channels was an issue at that time because I didn't have, the immigration status. So I actually worked sometimes 60 or 80 hours a week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, just
anything you could get, probably.
And it was in itself a challenge because I wasn't used to it, but we needed that because the currency exchange from South Africa to New Zealand was 1 to 10. And just getting out each day, getting the paper, bread and milk was literally a hole in the pocket with the currency. So you had to be earning local money no matter how hard it was, because we need to have a roof over our head and gamut. So you make a sacrifice, and that's what I had to do. And now I look back and it was building blocks, it was setting the foundation, it taught me so many things. And now I'm around table, I am in boardrooms and we have such challenging projects at times, and, working with multi-million-dollar projects, and people look at me and they wonder, how do you have so much of finesse? And normally don't drink coffee, and people go to me, oh, you'll need coffee on this project. I'm like, I have no idea where I've come from.
So when you left Africa, did you have a friend that went with you also?
No, so initially I was married in Africa, and we left on our honeymoon to New Zealand, and with the intention of staying. So yeah, we liked it, and we decided to lay our roots down, but it wasn't easy because New Zealand is a small country, limited in terms of employment. This was almost like 30 years ago, so finding work in our niche was really difficult.
Mhm.
We got there.
Yeah. So when did you decide in your life that you wanted to go into helping other people through coaching and speaking? Um, for me, it was gradual, and I would think for you maybe as well. But did you start with coaching first, or how was that?
Yeah, so it's actually an organic. It's not something I consciously decided. I guess what happened is from my lived experience, just journeying through life, people gravitated to me
Hmm.
because I've journeyed from a different country, and then I've gone through, life with experiencing different things. So I guess moving internationally, and then I had lived with undiagnosed endometriosis, then discovering I was infertile, navigating through IVF, miscarriage, divorce, the whole gamut.
Yeah.
So I'm part of a church as well. So I facilitated connect groups and just organic connection with people. People generally, um, reached out because everyone's going through something, in life, and people someone to communicate with. And I guess having experience helps, but also I had the corporate life that brought another realm of experience to the table, and people, I guess, was just tapping into that. So I found myself spending more and more time, unofficially helping people.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
sometimes it was outside my remit, like outside my work scope, or outside, my capacity of what I was doing socially. But I just loved it because I just saw it as someone needed help, and decided to go that way. So that's how my book started as well. So I found myself in lockdown in Sydney, and people were actually contacting me. I guess, the mayhem of the pandemic, people didn't know what was going to happen, and most of them hit the panic button.
Right.
And the world, people were reaching out to me because I had these, I guess, this perceived resilience to them because I've navigated through so much in life, and I've come out on the other side and, still at the top of my game. So it was constant, different time zones. So it was all day, all night. People were wanting to have a chat. And then I guess the light bulb went on that I have this lived experience that I need to share my journey gleans with humanity. And I just, grabbed my laptop and decided to start writing in terms of sharing my story and then sharing the lived experience. And wow, I kid you not, in less than an hour of launching my book, I became a bestseller in 28 categories.
Oh my
And
gosh. Wonderful.
thank you. And every person that reads my book, almost every person, that the reviews on Goodreads and every other platform is just sensational. But I've had readers that actually have contacted me on Messenger and, said to me they were on the brink of death, or people have died, they've been cocooned in pain. This is just, it speaks to the soul. It's a balm to a healing. So I guess how it started was just me wanting to share where I was, and when I was in pain, how I felt, and how I didn't feel, connected or heard or seen or whatever. And I didn't want anyone to feel that. So I just wanted to share my journey, and many identify with that.
Right, right. So um, it comes out in some of your information that you shared with me that this was a product of COVID, actually. You're being isolated like many of I was too, and my dog had died. And
Oh,
I was really isolated. But COVID really it it was such a challenge for so many of us on all different levels. But it's amazing the good that came out of it. Your wonderful book came out of it. You know,
Absolutely. Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't have had the time to sit down and do this because, I'm just so busy with work and traveling and living life. And having to sit down also gave me the opportunity because, like I said, I've charted through so much. And I thought I have dealt with that and, had the bow nicely tied up and put it on the shelf and shut the door. But once I started writing, I felt the emotions arise. And sometimes while I was writing, tears were streaming down my face
oh,
because it was things that I needed to, you know, uh, heal from yet again. And there are things in life that, will just never have a neat little box that you can, shelve and file away for the rest of your life. It's,
right.
going to be part of you.
Yeah.
And realize that this journey was a journey, even though I hadn't planned to go on, it was vital.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The importance of journaling is it's been proven over and over and over again that it just cleans us out. It just allows us to feel what we can't feel until we start working with the words on paper. And so
Absolutely.
I'm amazed at, around the first of the year, I lost two important people in my life with not from COVID, but just age and different things. But somebody said, well, start journaling. And I felt kind of foolish since I was a coach and I didn't go to it at first, but it was just amazing what sitting down and writing, journaling a little bit every morning can do for an individual. It is
Absolutely.
opens us up.
Yeah, I'm so lost, but yeah, absolutely. I found that as well because, in my journey, I lost a good friend as well. That was sudden. And I found that even though I thought I had, moved on from that milestone when I was writing about it, it opened up, but it also brought that healing into that space, which was, and also sharing the story because it touched others in a profound way. I had in August, it's Women's Month in South Africa, so I donated my book to an organization, and they farmed it out to individuals that they thought needed the books. And
nice. That's nice, Kelly.
yes, thanks. So this lady got a copy of my book and she was reading it and she found me online and messaged me and she was like, wow, I haven't had a proper meal in more than 6 months because my husband had committed suicide on my birthday. And said to me, I cannot describe the pain that I'm feeling. But I was gifted your book and I started reading. And she was like, for the first time, I'm feeling like the numbness is starting to dissipate.
Mm-hmm.
She was in tears and she was like, can I ring you on Messenger? I just need to talk to you. And I was like, it's 3 a.m. for me in Australia. And I was like, yeah, sure. And just having a brief conversation, Joyce, brought her hope. And she was like, she saw a glimmer of light in the darkness. And she was like, just reading your word made me feel like I'm going to be okay. I'm going to get through this. This is not going to destroy me because I know you've gone through so much and I've seen you come out. So that words on the paper was transformational for her.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really wonderful. Yeah. Yes, I noticed when we were booking, what time is it there where you are?
I have to say thank you. This was the most reasonable time. It's 7 a.m. So I've had, wait for it, 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I'm like, are you guys for real? I'm not bright-eyed and bushy-tailed here, but I made it work.
Well, it's 7 there a.m. and I'm at 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So,
Okay.
I got it easy. You got it. Oh, it was it, Yeah, it threw me off because I thought, oh no, you've given her the wrong time. But then when I realized it was time zones playing tricks on us. Yeah. So, but just think you can go back to bed after this. So, w- so is most of your time now spent in coaching and group activities and speaking, or you spoke about the 30 years of professional experience in health
Yes.
IT.
So I work in health IT, information technology, and I still work in my corporate job. It's very rewarding. I was actually um, headhunted to build a solution during COVID while we were in the thick of it, to monitor COVID patients at home, which
Yeah.
I love. My work is very satisfying.
Mhm.
So I'm still employed, but it seems like my side gig is getting bigger than Ben-Hur, and it's, pulling my energy. I didn't plan for this to happen. I didn't plan to write a book, but it has taken the world by storm. I've actually been asked by several amazing authors to actually co-author a few books. So I've this week have been nominated for the Woman Changing the World Award for 2023.
How nice.
I know it's just opened up a whole new world, and every person that has read my book has requested for me to write another book. Some people are reading it for the third and fourth time, and they are like, definitely have to write another book. So I've been inundated with requests, and have written another book, and it's just out there, people doing a review at the moment and writing a review before publish, and I'm getting the same response. So I think I'm kind of finding a new calling.
Mhm.
And I'm in between the stages of finding the inner strength and the call to let go and move to new things. So
Mhm.
let's see where it goes.
Well, in the subtitle of your book, it says you give tools in your book to rise above adversity and create a life by design. So it's a how-to book as well, or tool
Exactly.
use.
Absolutely. So it is, it's over 200,000 words. It's quite a substantial book. It's a memoir. So, my journey. And then the second part is transformational tools, which is 25 tools for the reader to work through themselves and come out on the other side. So everyone that goes through that, the light goes on and they find a path that helps them to soar. So finding yourself, I guess, within, that journey and making a difference. But it's in a format that people can generally relate to.
Right. Yeah. I'm not thinking you have much time to sleep with all this that's going on. Your full-time job and your writing and coaching job.
Absolutely. Yeah. It keeps me busy. So I guess I work on high octane, so that helps.
Yes. But you have remarried. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So that's good. Yeah. So, um, what is the new book? What does it tend to deal with?
Absolutely. So it's called, oh, I'm not sure if I should say the title because we may change the
That's
title, but
okay. It's okay.
I'm looking at global issues, around the world in terms of how we can make better choices and decisions,
Mhm.
and encouraging people, I guess, to put on that 2020 vision and genuinely look at the way they make decisions, but have that far-reaching impact to the future, but also not just glossing over things, because those choices affect lives.
Yeah. The thing I was just thinking as you were talking, that the awareness that you have now is that no matter where we live, no matter what country, what language we're speaking, we are all the same. We hurt with the same pains. We hurt for the same disappointments, and we laugh at the same stuff as well. So we are so much alike that it's just overwhelming. It's how
Yeah.
simple life can be, really. Yeah.
Exactly. And we need to learn from, the mistakes that people have made before us. Like if I have to look at, just zooming in, one of my chapters is looking at, I guess, the current state of how South Africa is. And Nelson Mandela went through so much and he sacrificed so much, yet it's like it's just squandered. We need to learn from his example. He stood for something. And the same with so many other things around the world. People paid a high price, yet we are not learning from that fabric.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Well, I'm not even going to bring up the United States. We're in a pickle right now. We're always sitting here going, well, I wonder what's happening next. We're in uncharted waters. Not so. We are reminded that we have had some awful things happen in our past, and we have lived on and survived through them. But even so, many of us don't remember those. We didn't experience them. They were before our time, perhaps, with the killing of JFK, So anyway, but we're all living in uncharted times. I do.
Yes.
So what do you hope that you'll be doing a year from now? Do you have a wish or a thought, or are you just kind of let go of God going to work?
Yeah, I would say a vision. I think, gauging from the response I'm getting from my next book as well, I'm catapulting to, the next level. And hopefully, being on a larger platform, especially given the fact that I've been nominated as, Woman Changing the World Award. If I get that under my belt, I actually want to make that tangible change. I don't want to just write and coach about it. I want to be that instigator for change on the global platforms.
So will you increase your speaking? Probably.
Yeah. And I also, want to get at that level where I can actually impact in terms of making policy changes and actually shaking things up for that change that we need.
Would that be through the government or through individuals, or what are you thinking?
Whatever it takes, Joyce, whatever it takes. We're trying to rattle down, right? So I guess it depends what my passion is at the time. I think what I would want to start with is the things that are heavy on my heart, which would be domestic violence, discrimination, apartheid, corruption, and all of that, which are global issues. So anyone, come to the party. I've got the lived experience. I've been a victim. I've come out on the other side. I've got experience. I've got experience working with policy and legislation, from my corporate hat. So I got a lot to offer, and I'm ripe for the picking.
Right. Well, you might have to make a decision about one career or the other as you go through, because there's still only 24 hours in a day.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So how many countries have you been to? Just does your corporate job take you into traveling, or are you traveling through your coaching and speaking?
I have traveled for work in the past, but no, I'm a social butterfly in terms of, that's my personal travel, that I've traveled around the world.
Mhm.
Of recent, I'm doing an international book tour. So it's
Oh,
my
yeah.
book taking me around and, sharing the book.
Mhm. So will you be coming to the United States?
Absolutely. Your book, your book coming. So
Where are you
actually,
coming to the States? Where in the
yes.
state? You know?
Actually, I was talking to a publisher in Texas, so you may never know.
Well, if you get in Texas, you have to let me know. I'll
Absolutely.
come meet you in person.
I so look forward to that.
Now, I want y'all to know this. The first we just met, and the first thing she said is, "Where are you? Where are you? Where are you from? Or what's that accent?" Something like that. And it's always funny because I don't think I've got an accent, but she assured me I did.
I love that accent.
But they even, you can go into the far more southern states, and it's charming because they draw everything out, and it's really quite interesting. But that's in Alabama, Mississippi, all those states. Much
Okay.
stronger.
I'm looking
draw.
forward to it.
Yeah, you will. You'll like it. You'll like it for sure. Now, this has been really exciting for me because I love your story, and I think you're on a path that's just going to take you to great heights and rewards. So, as you move forward, uh, what are some of the things you think of that would prepare you for that journey?
I think going in with my eyes wide open, definitely. I've had, I didn't plan for this level of success. And what I'm finding as well is it's a hard journey in terms of my book is raw. It speaks from the heart. It speaks about, the setbacks that I had to endure. So many people, come out on the other side like, wow, I didn't know you lived through all of that. But people that I really thought I would share life with, till the end of my days, some of, and people that I don't know, random people, have actually viewed my success as, I don't know what word to put to it, as a challenge, but there's a level of envy and jealousy.
Mm.
And I hadn't prepared for it, Joyce, because I didn't see that one coming, because, I shared from my brokenness. I shared to help people. This book is to help other individuals navigate the path that I was, and to share my journey experience. So seeing what the success is doing to other people it's really rattled me. And I know I'm going higher,
Uh-huh.
and I can see it shaking cages. So I think what I need to do is zoom in on narrowing my circle and focus on those that are for me, and move to the top at the pace that I need to go. So it's difficult to remove some layers, personal layers, that is not an easy journey, but it's required, because you can't, you know, soar to the top when people are holding you with the ball and chain.
True, true. You have to reevaluate your friends and your groups that you spend time with, because they give you that courage and that incentive that you need to move on. Many times I think people in that position, although they may be directing it at us, the real person they're directing it at is themselves, because they feel as though they've not lived their life to
Exactly.
build those successes. And so it's a sad situation, but yeah, I think you have to take care of yourself first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good
So
luck.
yeah, I know I have a lot to offer to the universe, and to get that, I need to zoom into the objective and keep my the goal.
Right, for sure. Well, as we come to the close of our podcast today, I really want to say this has been such a pleasure for me to spend some time with you and to share with my audience the journeys that you've been on, emphasizing the journeys many of us have been on, but you took those journeys and turned them into stories or lessons or learning or building blocks, however you'd like to do it, say it. So anyway, I'm really thrilled that we had COVID and that you could be locked in a room so you could create this book, because it's helping so many. So I just thank you very much for seeking out Second Wind and sharing with my audience. So if you just hold on, I want to say goodbye to them, and then I'll be back with you, Kelly. Okay. So people, my listening audience out there, you know, I love that we were able, and you were here, and you were able to listen to Kelly. But the important thing now is for you to reach to that person that really needs to hear this message. In addition to you, maybe you were the one that was meant to be here today, but you also have the opportunity to pass it to another friend that you know is suffering. Every one of us have something that we're dealing with. So I encourage you, as I always do every week. I'm sorry, I'm sort of like a broken record, but I want this message to be shared. And I think you're one of the points that can help share it. So thank you for being here today. I look forward to being with you next week. Remember, I created this podcast for you so that you could hear the messages of other women as they have gone on to rebuild and expand and live a glorious life. So thank you for being here. I look forward to knowing that you're out there next week. So have a great week. Thanks for being here.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.